Hello and welcome to Watchworthy. It's your boy, Brother Ash.
And I'm Miss Christy.
Today we're going to be discussing Mommy Dead and Dearest. This is a HBO documentary, came out in 2017. If you know true crime, you've definitely heard about this story. The Munchausen's case where the mother was purposely making her daughter more sick. It was a huge thing in 2017. I think I seen a piece of it, but I didn't see the complete documentary.
I watched it before, yeah.
So this documentary featured Gypsy Rose Blanchard, her father, different family members, grandparents, and people in the community, as well as her lawyer who was also in the documentary. So the reason why we chose this doc, like I said, she's seen it before, and then I seen a little bit of it, but it's just like a classic true crime doc, and we think that you guys like when we do true crime docs, so we figured we give this one.
Most importantly, she just got out of jail for her crime, so.
Oh yeah, she did just get out, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because this is already like 8 years from.
Right. 2017 was a little while ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. Wow. Well, not 8.
7 years ago.
7 years ago?
Yeah, 7 years ago.
All right, so our poll question is going to be, how much time would you have sentenced Gypsy? We're going to leave y'all some options, but she ended up getting 10 years for the murder of her mother. So I'm going to let y'all think about that as we give y'all the recap.
Yeah, so before we get into Gypsy's life, we have to start with Dee Dee, her mother. Claudine Dee Dee Petre, I don't know if that's how you say her maiden name, but she was born in Louisiana in 1967. And so at age 24, Dee Dee got pregnant by her baby's father, Rod Blanchard, who was 17.
Red flag.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say red flag on that one. He was in the documentary. And when he said he met Dee Dee at 17, I didn't realize she was 24 until I did some research later and realized, oh, you're 7 years older than your baby father. So that's red flag number one.
Isn't that illegal? Pretty sure
it's definitely illegal.
Maybe not in Missouri, but definitely.
And I think it's
Louisiana.
Yeah, it was Louisiana, and I think that it was just, back in the 1980s, people probably didn't care as much.
Probably definitely not illegal in Louisiana.
Yeah. So the couple got married just because she got knocked up. Rod said, being from the South, I just felt like it was the right thing to do. But they split before, the baby. I think they split after the baby was born. So Gypsy was born in 1991.
I know you usually the one with the red flags, but that's another red flag. We got to stop getting married because we think it's the right thing to do. That's not what that's about. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, I totally agree because I think that there was a way he could still be in the child's life without being married. You don't have to be with the person that you have a child with.
Maybe not with Dee Dee.
Yeah.
But she was older than him.
Yeah, so Dee Dee, he said in the documentary that she was always dark, always into, witchcraft, and even had a pet tarantula. That's a red flag.
I was about to say, you want to do it or you want me to do it?
Anybody with a pet tarantula and you're into witchcraft, just no.
It's one or the other.
Yeah, you're just a weirdo. So she also learned to be a thief from her own mother, which was really sad to learn in the documentary. She would steal from her own family, and it just goes to show that it was kind of a generational thing. So she was always a theft, and so it got deeper once she had a child and once she started raising Gypsy. People even think that Dee Dee killed her own mom by denying her food, so red flag. If there's a rumor out that you killed your own mom, I think that's a red flag.
What if she stole Gypsy?
That you're right. I mean, I don't want to put any more theories out there because this documentary is already chock full of them. But she probably would be the type to steal a baby from the hospital and said it was hers. So, she had this crazy deceptive behavior that continued with the treatment of her daughter. As Brother Ash said, Dee Dee Blanchard, she basically had what we know today as Munchausen's disorder. And there was a doctor in the documentary, Dr. Mark Feldman, who explained that we know Dee Dee had been suffering from this because she kind of needed that emotional gratification that came with making her child sick. It wasn't because she really thought her child was sick. She knew her child wasn't sick, was putting her on different types of medications and stuff, and forging all of this paperwork just to get that gratification, get that attention, that pity, that care that came from people.
Huge red flag.
Yeah, red flag. And so
she's just a red flag.
She's a giant red flag, Dee Dee Blanchard. I hate to speak ill of the dead, but we gonna see how it came to her demise. And so Dee Dee actually told Gypsy that you're the reason I was born, to be your mama. And I do feel bad for Gypsy Rose because I wouldn't want that type of person as my mother.
No.
Always hovering over you, micromanaging, and clearly making the girl think that she was sick when she was not. As early as 3 months old, Dee Dee was saying that Gypsy had sleep apnea. Red flag. How your baby got sleep apnea? I don't know. Maybe that is a possibility. But, like, did you read that on WebMD? Like, what? Come on, girl.
So, like, all right, I ain't saying babies can't have sleep apnea. But I know a part of sleep apnea is, like, waking up throughout the night. Like, you don't get that deep sleep. But, like, I feel like that's something mostly all babies probably like. You know what
that's
what
I feel like she was just making stuff up. And so that's kind of where the dad was like, all right, like, I'm out. But he did try to have a relationship with Gypsy, but her mom would tell whatever lies to Gypsy about her dad to make her not like him anyway. So she would go on to brainwash Gypsy to make her think that this is all just going to be one big red flag for y'all. I'm not about to give a red flag for each one.
Yeah.
Because she made the girl believe, number one, that she couldn't walk. She put her in a wheelchair.
That was the craziest shit I ever heard. Yo.
Like, what? She told her she was in the wheelchair because she had, muscular dystrophy. And she had leukemia, apparently. So she shaved her head.
All right, hold on. This isn't funny. But this is when we should have known that she could walk. There was a video of her
in the documentary
sitting on, like, the porch, like, on the banister. And she, like, jumped in the snow.
Nobody's jumping in the snow if they can't walk. Because she's, like, trying to army crawl. But it's like, you could stand up and use those legs.
You kind of see her her legs moving, like... But
right, you're supposed to be paralyzed.
They don't look like. It's just like when I seen that, I was like, "Oh, this is just fake." Like, they just faked all of this. That's crazy.
But it's sad because she's a child.
Yeah.
She believes whatever her mother is telling her. If my mom told me we took you to the doctor and you have leukemia, I would believe her. So she shaved her head because she told Gypsy, "You're gonna lose it anyway." No, I'm not, because I don't have leukemia. And so then she also told her she had epilepsy. And probably the worst one for me was the feeding tube, because that's invasive. Why are you making your child eat through a feeding tube if she doesn't have to? Like, she had that scar to this day, probably.
Yeah.
And so, to top it all off, apparently their family was supposed to be Hurricane Katrina survivors. That part is real. So that's also how they started to get the attention of the media and stuff. Like, Hurricane Katrina survivors, plus she has childhood leukemia. Like, let's give them attention. And so they were getting donations, press, sponsorship opportunities. I feel so bad. Red flag for the American Cancer Society. Like, how did they even fool them? Gypsy Rose was, like, singing the national anthem at an event. Bruh. I'm just like, how did you even pull the wool over their eyes?
All expenses paid to Disney.
Like, oh, yeah, they got the Disney World trips and everything. And the, what do they call it? Make-A-Wish? Yeah. So they got all of that just from Gypsy having these fake illnesses. And Gypsy was over-medicated for all these fake diseases, which actually did make her have some fake symptoms, like nausea and stuff. And so as Gypsy got older, her mom wanted to keep her perpetual child, red flag, and lied about her age. Gypsy didn't even know what age she really was. Like, this girl was like 24 thinking she was 17. It was very weird.
Imagine watching Disney Channel your whole life.
Yeah, and she was speaking in that baby voice. Y'all, it was sad. And so later we found out that even lawyers were in on it and helped Dee Dee draw up some papers that said Gypsy was incompetent. Yeah. You know, kind of like the whole Britney Spears thing. Like, if your guardian says this person's incompetent, now I control their whole estate. Like, terrible. And so Gypsy knew, she said in the documentary, I knew I could walk, but everything else my mom was telling me, I believed it.
That's what's effed up because, like, obviously her mom, like, her mom did more than fail her. Her mom, like, almost destroyed her.
Yeah, she destroyed her life.
Well, definitely destroyed her life. It's just by the grace of God, Gypsy's still alive and she can, like, kind of live her own life now. But, like, her father failed her. Other people, like, were suspicious of weird stuff going on. But, like, everybody failed this girl. So, like,
yeah.
There was one doctor who called out Dee Dee for the inconsistent and fabricated medical history, but nothing even came of it. Super red flag, because she would lie about medical history contingent on what type of doctor or specialist they would see.
Yeah.
Like, if she was going to see a cardiologist, she'd be like, "Oh yeah, my mom died of a heart attack," or
Terrible.
or I have high blood pressure or shit like that. Like, she would just lie just to get Gypsy more medicine. And one doctor actually like started to realize it, but then she would just end up moving on to another doctor because she was smart like that. She would request like medical records. Like in 2015, Gypsy Rose and Dee Dee were living in Missouri. Gypsy was basically hostage to Dee Dee and would like physically abuse her. That's obviously a red flag. Abuse as well. But when I first heard about this story, I don't think I was aware that there was physical abuse.
Yeah, my heart just breaks because she got emotional and physical
That's
abuse.
why. But then, like when you think about who Dee Dee was, I'm like, okay, like I wouldn't put nothing past her. But it's just crazy, like that she even went to the reach to physically abuse this girl.
Yeah.
Sheriff Jim Arnott said the police received a call for a welfare check, but nothing ever came of that as well.
Dee Dee had that, what do you call, like charm, where it would be like, oh, everything's fine here, police officers, nothing to see here.
She was charismatic to the point where she knew, and plus, a child is a child.
Who are you going to believe, that girl or me?
But also, Dee Dee, if she really fooled Gypsy to think that she's this basket case who needs all this medication and who, can't fend for herself.
Closet.
Gypsy's probably thinking, if these cops take away my mom, who's going to take care of me?
Yeah.
So I'm going to do what my mom says. Like, it's videos of her, like, squeezing Gypsy's hand and interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. Gypsy was like a hostage. Basically. So Gypsy like ran away once, but Dee Dee found her like in a matter of hours. I think she had like linked up with this guy that she met on the chat room at some type of Comic-Con.
Because she's still a teenager.
Yeah, so she's going to do stuff like that. She's going to rebel. So Dee Dee is like 48 and Gypsy's 24. But like we said, she was lied to about her age. So she's really, told that she's a teenager, but she's a young adult or just a regular adult.
And I was going to say also, I forgot in the whole list of medical issues, she thought that she was mentally retarded, or she thought she was told that she was, like I said, incompetent. Yeah. So she kind of acted like a child, or someone who wasn't fully mature or developed, like not socially aware.
Yeah. So I feel like she wasn't even able to make like friends in a lot of environments if she had the opportunity. Because like I said, like when most kids are like trying to venture out,
meet somebody on a chat room,
or in high school when you start listening to different music because your friends recommend it. Gypsy never had that.
Yeah,
it was just her and her mom for 24 years, and she was like locked up. She said one of her favorite movies was Tangled because she kind of related to the girl being locked in the tower. She felt like she was locked away her whole life. So Gypsy meets Nicholas Godjohn
this guy.
On a Christian dating website.
Red flag.
Red flag. Because it's like, why are these type of people on Christian dating websites?
We know why they are. Yeah.
Nicholas's family classify him as having Asperger's. He also had a criminal history that included watching porn in a McDonald's for 9 hours. Red flag.
That's a giant red flag.
I'm scratching
when
my
I saw
head.
that in the documentary, I was like, wait, rewind, what?
I'm scratching my head because, like, was he on McDonald's property in his car doing it?
Or
was he in the McDonald's? And why didn't nobody stop him from beating his mans?
For 9 hours.
For 9 hours.
Yeah. That's a full shift.
That's a shift.
Yeah. Somebody had to watch that.
So if he started in one shift, he was there for the beginning of another shift.
That's terrible.
Smacking it.
But this is the kind of person who is meeting this meek and vulnerable sick girl online.
It gets better. Gypsy's not about to be innocent for much longer because this guy is, look. So almost all of their relationship was online role play. He had multiple personalities, so he made Gypsy adopt multiple personalities as well.
Red flag, yeah.
Nick was also into BDSM. I don't even know what that acronym stands for, but I know it's some freaky shit with whips and people getting tied up.
But shit. That's not anything this girl needs to be around.
But imagine you don't even you've been sheltered your whole life, and then this guy comes in like BDSM.
Yeah, she would call him daddy and stuff.
Like what the heck? That was wild for me. That made me uncomfortable. Like poor Gypsy. Like so she conspired with Nick. Like in fact, before that, Nick starts having this whole thing where he's like, I want to do anything to protect you. And this girl hits Gypsy up like, hey, Nick's a bad guy. Like you need to leave him alone. and it's Nick's ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, red flag.
So
if somebody comes to you woman to woman or anything like that, you need to let that man alone.
So Gypsy, you know, doesn't pay it any mind. She's like, nah, Nick is cool. So they start having darker conversations about how bad, you know,
I want to get out of here. I want to be with you.
Yeah, how bad Nick would do anything for her. And then, like, he even said, I wouldn't let anybody hurt you. And she was like, well, what about my mom? And he was like, yeah, I wouldn't. And then that ended up them conspiring to kill her mom. They called it, like, Plan B or something.
Yeah.
And it was always like, it'll never happen. But, you know, Nick was more...
he was serious.
He was serious. This guy was definitely off. Like, even his family said it. So Dee Dee went to bed. They finally went through with the plan to offer.
Yeah.
And her last words to Gypsy were, "Don't hurt me." I guess they had just gotten to an argument.
Yeah.
And
that's interesting. Like, people don't even know when they're gonna die.
Yeah.
But for you to get in an argument with your daughter and then your last words are, "Don't hurt me." We don't know how she said it. Maybe she was like, "Don't hurt me," or like, "Don't hurt me," but then get stabbed. Like, that's terrible.
So Dee Dee left out the knife, the murder weapon, and she left the door open. And she went in her room.
Red flag, because I feel like for you to be texting about a murder plot, leave the door open, leave the murder weapon, you're just leaving a breadcrumb trail for the police.
This is going, and this is all what we want y'all to think about when we are answering that poll question.
Like,
because the girl
planned.
was tortured and she definitely was abused. Like, nobody should be abused as a child. But yeah, she did this.
You plotted this. This was premeditated.
She didn't physically do it, but she, you know, like Miss Christie said, she left everything so that it could take place. So they made some incriminating Facebook posts, which was so stupid. This shows you no offense to anybody, but this shows you the mental capacity of these two. Where they made a Facebook post after it happened on Dee Dee's account that said, "The bitch is dead. I slashed that fat pig and raped her innocent daughter."
Red flag, because if I just murdered somebody, I'm definitely not about to go on Facebook and talk about it. And yeah, it's just so many red flags.
After all of that, they act like nothing happened, and I'm not just saying that. There's footage of them acting like nothing fucking happened, like they didn't just murder her mom. And they left. They went to Milwaukee. Funny enough, we were just talking about Milwaukee in another conversation. They went to Milwaukee to stay with Nick's mom, and I'm sure they were like, "Great, he's back."
Literally, the
and
mom.
Now he's back with this fucking weirdo.
Yeah, they showed the mom police interrogation or whatever, and she was like, "Yeah, Nick and Gypsy came to our house. That was our first time meeting her." And nothing seemed off, like, and I'm like, yeah, but they just killed somebody.
They literally just killed her mother, and
then came to your house.
You should watch what you say, Miss. Because these two together are bad news for everybody. Yeah. So it didn't take long for the police to find them. Obviously, like, they aren't the world's most cunning criminals. Yeah. So they got found soon. And yeah, I'm going to let you take it from here.
So Dee Dee's family, her dad, stepmom, nephew, they were all in the documentary. And they were candid and said that they didn't really have anything nice to say about her. And they felt like she got what she deserved. So this documentary, this whole story, this true crime story really makes you think about, even though she was a terrible mom, did she really deserve to be stabbed like that at 48? I would have rather see her go to jail or something.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, even her own family didn't really like her much. She was a thief, and she
had a long history of being, like, somebody just flat out called her evil.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was her nephew said, "Nah, she's evil." Like,
so
yeah.
I'm gonna leave that up to you after you watch this documentary if you think she got what she deserved.
Nobody deserves to get stabbed to death, but you know.
But the police, they decide to interrogate Gypsy, and at this point she's without a wheelchair. We can see that she can walk, but she's still playing naive. They're like, "Your mom was stabbed," and she's like,
"Oh." Hold on, real quick. I'm sorry, but it was kind of funny in the interview the first time, like, the public seeing Gypsy like walk into the courtroom, it's like everybody that was responsible for like donating or helping out,
having a heart
and giving a fuck about this poor girl, everybody was just like, oh,
Yeah.
she can walk like.
Yeah, they had her best friend in the documentary. I guess she had time to make one friend in the neighborhood, and the girl was like, I couldn't believe they lied to all of us like this.
Yo, they like, did you see her walking on that?
It was ridiculous.
Oh my God.
And so in police interrogation, Nick, he's honest. He just matter-of-factly confesses to the murder. You know, he's just letting people know, I did it, here's how we did it. Gypsy was in on it. Again, I think it's that, like, just not mentally, like you said, not the mental capacity to be doing something like
and
this.
I would have got away with it if it wasn't for those young
basically.
kids.
And so they actually pulled up their text messages in court. And she was mortified. Gypsy was mortified. You should be. You literally were texting like, left the knife by the door, honey, for your mom's murder.
Yeah, Gypsy, and they said some of her meds definitely shut off. You know how? You know,
Oh yeah, she's on Xanax and stuff.
So when you mix medicine like that, like your emotions are all screwed up, and you know you really don't have. A lot of people just don't have emotions sometimes.
So maybe it wasn't all her, but
and, yeah, you see that guilt too. Like I felt bad for her. Like,
at the end of the day, they got caught red-handed. So the whole documentary is like building up to a one-on-one interview with Gypsy, and so she's, you know, older now. A few years have passed. The documentary came out in 2017. So Gypsy's interviewed while in handcuffs the whole time, and you know the striped suit. And here are a few quotes from the documentary. The interviewer asked her, "Are you happy that your mom is not here anymore?" And Gypsy said, "I'm not happy that she's not here. I didn't want that." So again, it's like, as a daughter, you probably didn't really want your mom to die. You probably didn't really think this plot was going to go through with it. But at the end of the day, it did. And so now you're feeling a little guilt and remorse.
I really think it was really just a survival.
Yeah.
I think, you know, this is how important it is for us to be, like, very safe and careful on the internet. Because if you get connected with the wrong person,
he was a terrible influence.
Terrible influence, and she's somebody who's literally fighting for her life. Because Gypsy, after a while, Gypsy knew like her mom was not okay, and that she was being abused.
Yeah.
And this guy with this crazy plan to kill her mom was the only out for her.
Right.
So it was. I think it was survival at first, but then she realized, like, fuck, I killed my mom. Like.
Yeah.
So
she even said in the documentary when they were interviewing her, I was on Xanax and other medications. I wasn't thinking right. She said, in so many ways, I don't know what's right from what's wrong. And I think that is like that childlike, you know, behavior where your maturity was stifled. And so you still, I don't know. She's grown. Do you think she knew right from wrong?
I think she knew right from wrong, but because her situation was so unique, I feel like lines were just blurred. Because it was wrong for her to be in the position she was in.
Yeah. They said in the documentary that victims of Munchausen's have limited capacity, as we said, for, quote, reality testing. She didn't get to go out into the real world and have a normal life and have friends and have social groups. Or
really understand the severity of your actions, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
so she lived in an alternate reality because she was really isolated and she didn't know what normal was. And some thought Gypsy was punished enough by her mother, but the court said, no, you going to jail. Like, I'm sorry that you had a tough life, but you're still going to jail.
Yeah.
So she was charged with second-degree murder in 2016. And in the documentary, her dad, Rod Blanchard, really blamed himself for not pushing back against Dee Dee and intervening in Gypsy's life earlier. So,
good job.
Red flag, I would say. If you knew your ex-wife was crazy and your daughter... I guess he kind of started to believe Dee Dee too. Like, okay, well, Dee Dee says she has leukemia. I guess she has leukemia. Like, he kind of didn't intervene. And look what happened.
I also feel like Dee Dee was the type to really, like, try to, like... Because these court systems are fucked up.
Yeah.
And honestly, if Dee Dee would have played her cards right, if her father would have pushed back, like, hey, I want custody of Gypsy or whatever... Dee Dee, I feel like she was smart enough to flip that.
Yeah, and so he never get to see her.
So he never get to see her, or that she wins and she... retains custody, because it really is sad to see what happens a lot of the time with fathers who want to be a part of their children's life, but the mother has another agenda. So partially I blame him, but on the other side, I'm like,
nah, he should have fucked that. He should have been there.
He should have just at the rate she was going. Like, you would have been better off kidnapping your daughter. Like,
seriously,
I probably would have kidnapped my daughter. Like,
oh my god, don't say that. But that's true though, because the court's never in the dad's favor. So Gypsy was sentenced to serve 10 years in prison. Mind you, this was back in 2016, 2017. So after serving 7 years, because we know they tell you 10, but good behavior, whatever. She was released in December of 2023. And Nick was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison in 2018. So he was 26 at the time, and that gotta suck. That's a red flag.
Nick, you super did that shit.
Yeah, you're an idiot.
You did that
you
shit.
You dickhead.
Like, and you did it on Facebook, too, you fucking moron. Like... Dickhead.
Yeah, he's an idiot. So he probably has some resentment towards her.
Are we fucked up?
No, I'm sorry, but you killed somebody. Yeah, you were premeditating that.
That blurs the line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And
fuck you.
She got less time because she